Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about standing posture in pregnancy to keep you pain-free. If you're pregnant and new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and click the bell button below so you don't miss any of my pelvic floor tips for an empowering birth experience. We all know that our body changes so much in pregnancy as our little one grows in our belly. And one of the things that is greatly affected by these changes is our posture. That can easily lead to aches and pain if we're not careful about the way we are holding ourselves up. So let me give you a few pointers here so you can maintain a pain-free posture throughout your pregnancy. In this video, we're really focusing on the standing posture, but stay tuned because I'll have another video about sitting posture as well. So tip number one is laser tits pointing forward. You're probably like, what the heck, laser tits pointing forward? What does that even mean? Honestly, I do not own the credit for that one. It is a cue I learned from an online course with Julie Weeb, who is an amazing physical therapist who works with women athletes and mamas specifically. So anyway, thanks Julie for that cue. So here's the deal. If you imagine that there's lasers on your nipples, your lasers should be pointing right in front of you, no matter if you're pregnant or postpartum. And in pregnancy, we typically end up having our lasers pointing upward because our belly is growing and we tend to kind of send our rib cage backward to balance that weight that is forward here. So in clinic, when I look at my pregnant mama's back muscles, when they are in that position with their laser tits pointing upward, I find that there's a lot of tension here in those back muscles along the spine. And they're like, what the heck? I'm going for massage every few weeks and my back is always so tight. It's because those muscles are actually holding that position here. And they're like this, right? They're trying to hold the tower together. So if you're thinking of sending those laser tits forward, you're gonna end up correcting that posture right away. If you look in a mirror, and that is my tip for you, is like just go beside the mirror and stand sideways. Don't even look in the mirror at first and just go in your natural position and then look and see where those lasers are pointing. Are they upward or forward? And then look straight in front of you. Think of that cue, laser tits forward. Correct it and look back and see if that made a difference in your rib cage position. Another thing you can do is to ask someone like your partner to take a before and after picture when you are standing sideways. So one with your natural position, the one that you would use if you did not have the cue, and then one with thinking of the laser tits forward, and see the difference. And I like to have a background with a few features so you can be like, oh yeah, I actually see that my back is kind of touching that line here or the picture frames on the wall, and when I'm correcting, it's more forward or something. So you have kind of a visual cue to see if your posture has changed. Sometimes it's not a huge change and it can take experienced eyes to tell the difference, but honestly, just a few degrees can make a world of a difference on body aches and pain. And just a little personal story here. I had a friend who was pregnant and we were camping together and she was like, I always have that back pain now as I'm getting bigger. And I observed that she was standing in that position. So I gave her just that simple tip of the laser tits forward. She came back to me 2 weeks after and she was like, Sophie, this fixed it, right? Like she just was aware of it now and she was able to correct it. And it was enough to fix her back pain. So not to say that it's gonna fix everyone's back pain like this, but it can be a huge component to your aches and pain when you're constantly putting that strain on your body. Now, if you're later in your pregnancy and it's becoming harder and harder to maintain your rib cage in a good position, you may want to consider a maternity belt to support your belly a bit more and make things easier for yourself. So I will link a video in the description below with a few options for maternity belts if you're interested in that option. Tip number 2 is unlock your knees. So So again, very typical from the pregnancy posture is to lock the knees back. See how my knees are kind of curved backward here? And this just sends your pelvis automatically in that forward tilt here. So can you see that if I unlock my knees, my pelvis is kind of coming back to a neutral position, and when I lock them, then my pelvis is kind of coming here. So unlock, locked. I like to see my pelvis as a bowl of soup, and you want to keep your bowl of soup neutral so it's not spilling forward or backward. And I find there's a lot of messaging on social media and other places that gives the cue of tucking the tailbone down. So instead of saying unlock your knees, which is such an easy fix because it corrects automatically the pelvic posture, they're like kind of saying you should tuck that tailbone down, right? And when you tuck your tailbone like this and you're just doing a posterior tilt of your pelvis, you are putting your pelvis in a position where your pelvic floor is in a shortened position, which can bring more tightness and tension. And if you've been following me for a while, you will know by now that our pelvic floor should not be tight for labor, right? It should be nice and flexible and relaxed so our baby can come out easily. So if you keep kind of tucking your tailbone down the whole pregnancy, you're just gonna develop that tight pelvic floor pattern, which won't help for your birth. It won't help for your pelvic health either. By the way, I have a free birth prep masterclass that I'm running on a regular basis if you want to learn more about the things that you can do to prepare your pelvic floor for an easy birth. So you can sign up in the description below, and I would love to see you there. If you know what I just said about the pelvic floor was like, what is she talking about? What is that pelvic floor thing and the flexibility and all of that and baby coming out? Like if this is all new to you, I would highly recommend that you take the class. And my third tip is to put equal weight on both feet. So standing on one leg or the other is something that we are all guilty of, myself included, pregnant or not. But the thing is, with pregnancy, there is the relaxin hormone that makes everything in your body more loose and makes your pelvis more unstable. So that's why all these little bad habits that we had before of like standing like this or standing like that, then our body is just more sensitive to it, and we're more likely to develop aches and pain from those bad postural habits versus when we're not pregnant. So whenever you're doing dishes or brushing your teeth or standing in line at the grocery store, think of having equal weight on your feet. If you learned something from that video, make sure you give it a like, and don't forget to reserve your seat in the description below for my free birth prep masterclass coming up. I'll be so looking forward to meeting you there. Thanks for watching.